Of all the heroes out there, one of my absolute favorites from the House of Marvel is Iceman. Well, what can I say? I mean, as a kid, I was introduced to this amazing hero from the cartoon show. And I mean, who didn't want to slide on these giant, gravity defying ice slides? Spider Man and His Amazing Friends was one of my favorite parts of my childhood. This was, well, Firestar was my first animated crush pre Tila. So, yeah, very special show. And getting an Iceman action figure was something I always wanted. I missed out on the Secret Wars figure, and when the Toy Biz first figure came out, I snatched this up. Later figures that started to come out with Marvel Legends and some of the later Toy Biz ones kind of took creative interpretations on Iceman. I mean, I know he does kind of do this in the comic book, but I wanted the version that looked like the cartoon, just plain Iceman. The best one I had had was this Toy Biz Marvel Legends, but unfortunately it literally just broke. Like all the joints after 20 years fell apart. It happens. Toys aren't meant to last. And that's probably good because the old Toy Biz one, which you can see on the right there, they're like half an inch shorter than the current Marvel Legends, which that's actually kind of the whole point of this video. Does half an inch matter? All right, so we're looking at Iceman here, and again, my quest continued. I wanted this version, the one from the Mini-Mates, basically. One that's clear, but kind of has that bluish tint. Or, honestly, I would gladly take this 3 3/4 version in 6-inch, where it's painted directly from the show and has the white and blue kind of frosty overspray that, honestly, capture the way he looked in the show. Okay, I know you're all saying, but wait a minute, Hasbro put out an official Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends set. Yes, they did. Why didn't I pick this up? I cannot stand cell shading. It drives me crazy. Because if I want my, figure to have cell shading, I'll shine a damn light on it. When the figures, you can see it most on Iceman there. In fact, Firestar, I don't think, got the cell shading. It's like one of the worst cell shaded figures ever. Half the face is covered with like a giant blue line. It doesn't work for me. And while cell shading I get from a flat animation perspective works, when you're translating these to toys, like I said, if I want my toys to look like they're shining from light, I will take a darn light and shine it at the toy to create that effect. I like having toys that look like the show. And Marvel Legends has been producing a lot of Icemen that are kind of all over the map. Not really the traditional one, and again, the sculpt they haven't put it out in that deco. They gave him those darn lines and animation shading. Now, we did get a classic sort of retro version, which is the closest one. I actually bought 2 of these. It's not quite the 3 3/4 colors, and the articulation's obviously great, but it's not quite the figure that I see. I wanted to recreate this scene. In fact, I literally did recreate this, and you can see my original Iceman there, Firestar, and that's actually a Toy Biz very early Spider-Man Classics figure because it's the one that looks closest to the way Eric Larson drew Spider-Man, hence why I have that one there. The question that comes is, when you've got multiple companies making the same figure, can they work together? That's what I'm trying to get to. We've seen this a lot with Star Wars. We've seen both Hasbro and Disney put out the same character, and they are compatible because they're all 3 3/4. On the other hand, the other Marvel line from Diamond, from Marvel Select, is not compatible with Marvel Legends. And that's because of the inch. And that's what I'm kind of getting to today is, so we've got the Marvel Legends on the left and the Marvel Select Iceman, which I love, on the right. Now, 6.5 to 7 inch, you can get away with that. So you have a 6.5 inch Zodak on one side and a 7 inch on the other. Half an inch can be made up. But when you have a full inch, that's when toy lines no longer feel compatible. Obviously, you can buy the same character in multiple scales from multiple companies. But if you want figures that are going to work together, you can only be half an inch separate. So here you have Iceman next to a Masters of the Universe Classics, which was 6.5 inches. 6 inch and 6.5, they are compatible, as are 6.5 Motu Classics and Marvel Select on the right. 6.5 to 7 inch. That half inch, no problem. But once you get into a full inch difference, so we have a 6 inch Marvel Legends and a 7 inch Select, you can really see the difference and how incompatible these lines are. The figure in the middle there, again, 6.5 inches with a 6 inch and a 7 inch on either side. So you could really see how that 6.5-inch Motu Classics figure bridges the gap between 6-inch and 7. It's compatible with both. And when I slipped it into my display, the nice thing is because of the angle and because of the way the figure is kind of half hidden behind the shelf, it works. So yes, you can have a 7-inch figure compatible with 6-inch if it works on kind of an action display. So other examples of the whole 6-inch, 7-inch issue here is a larger figure, a Marvel Legends, not quite a Build-A-Figure, but I think Thanos was Build-A-Figure size. He was just sold as a complete figure. And if you put him back to back with the Marvel Select Thanos, yeah, he's smaller. The Marvel Select Thanos is definitely a good inch bigger than him, and Thanos is a big guy. So the larger characters, your Thanoses, your Colossi, your Ironmongers, they tend to work, as do the Marvel Legends figures with other 6-inch figures. So if it's a bigger character like Thanos, you can tend to get away with the inch gap, I would call it. But when you just have a flat 7-inch figure, it just doesn't work. I mean, look at that Iceman. He looks huge versus, throwing it against a 6-inch scale Thanos or the 7-inch scale Thanos. Either one tends to work. Same with the Hulk back there. Oversized figures are more forgiving. With 6-inch figures, unless it's a half an inch difference, like here having that 6.5 to 7-inch back to back, otherwise you're really looking at 6-inch as the standard. 7-inch figures tend to be kind of in their own world and don't really work with the rest of a larger 6-inch world. It's great that you can get characters in different scales. And I'm ecstatic to finally get an Iceman that I really love, but I hate that it's out of scale. I wish Marvel Legends Hasbro would make a figure exactly like that. Have you experienced the same thing? How compatible are your Marvel Legends and Marvel Select figures? Love to know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, thanks for sharing, and I'll catch you guys in the comment section.